Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for March 23, 2022, the Gotham City is Corrupt edition. Yes, we begin with that story from MovieWeb, a first-time contributor to the Daily Compliance News, which asks, why is Gotham City so corrupt? It's long been plagued with crime and corruption throughout the entire sweep of Batman comic books and movies. Gotham obviously is an epithet for New York City and has been since the comic books started. So why is Gotham City so corrupt? The main reason is because it is the corrupt police force, almost all of whom are as bad as the villains themselves. So if you've ever wondered the answer to that question, now you know. Next up, another first-time contributor to the Daily Compliance News. Yes, my hometown paper, the Kerrville Daily Times. And what did the Kerrville Daily Times write about? Well, they wrote about new rules for companies on climate risks proposed by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Many newspapers and other publications wrote about this, but I was really stunned when I opened my circulation of just a few thousand newspaper in a town of 15,000 actually had this story. It's a repost from the Associated Press. Nevertheless, I thought it was significant that this story is in the Kerrville Daily Times, as companies will be required to disclose greenhouse gas emissions they produce and how climate risks affect their business under new rules proposed by the SEC in a 3-1 vote. Companies have to do this by 2023, and these are proposed rules, but they have a period of commentary and then will become effective in 60 days, I believe. So think about that a town of 15,000 people publishes a story about the SEC reporting rules for public companies. That tells you how important this is. Next up, from the Wall Street Journal, Sonny Balwani's trial is finally court case is finally going to trial. He was one half of the business duo that led Theranos, which lied and cheated to investors. And now Mr. Balwani, former partner of the company's founder, has gone to trial. So it's going to be interesting to see his defense, whether he claims it was all Elizabeth Holmes or someone else should take the fall. And finally, in a pretty sad story, the key anti-corruption judge in Guatemala has had to flee the country due, of course, to death threats against her from corrupt officials, as reported by NBC. Corruption continues to plague Guatemala. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.